The Joe Rogan Experience.
There could be a bunch of things at play.
Well, you
there.
didn't run when you met me, so
No.
I appreciate that.
No,
I mean, I know
like
we're
you.
probably scheduled to do this interview, so you couldn't, but
I was looking forward to this. Why would I run? I mean, I was impressed by your intensity, but I expected that in a way. I mean, I don't
Good.
see how you could be a race car driver and not be intense, especially be a woman and a race car driver and not be intense.
Well, that's nothing I even thought about until I was like 14. For the first few
way
years of
late in
racing.
life.
Way late in life. I didn't even think about being a girl out there. It wasn't until I had cameras following me around my schools and stuff that I was like, all right, maybe this is. And then they start asking you about it. They're like, what's it like to be a girl? You're like, shit, I don't know, I haven't really thought about that.
How many other girls do it?
I mean, there are various girls here and there, but, you know.
Like in all of NASCAR, how many women are racing?
Oh, at my level? No.
Yes, 0.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh,
That's pretty crazy.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's
I'm just
crazy.
used to it.
Well, take it from me. I'm
When
on the
people ask
outside.
me what's it like to be a girl in racing, I'm like, well, I don't really know what it's like to be a guy, so, you know, I only have my perspective.
That's true.
You know, I mean,
Right.
I don't know, like being a girl versus a guy. What's the difference? I don't know. What's it
Right.
like to be a guy?
Yeah, it'd probably be different. But I think that, like, what's it like to be a woman that's the only woman who's in NASCAR at your level? That's a valid question. I mean, that's crazy. How does everybody else treat you?
Yeah, that really is the main question I can't answer because I'm not them, and I know that from enough experience now, because I used to not really look into it much, and in the IndyCar days, you couldn't hit each other. You know, you really, I mean, it was, you know, you could block and things like that. So there was some guys out there that were assholes, and I didn't like them. But you know, sometimes every driver has some other drivers that they don't really get along with, and so, but in NASCAR, you can hit each other, and you have bumpers, and which is really cool. But it also isn't cool because if somebody wants to do it, they can. So. What would I say? I would say that they don't want to get passed by a girl. And you know what? I don't either. Is that weird?
No.
I really don't. I mean, I've raced with girls, and I don't like it.
So do you do you feel differently when a guy passes you than when a girl passes you?
Probably. Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
In what way?
Well,
Do you just go internally, that bitch?
I'm like, I can't believe my car isn't faster right now. This sucks.
But if it's a guy that passes
But then
you,
there
and
are
it's
other
just a
cars
race.
that are not good that I'm like, you know, come on the radio and I'll be like, yeah, I just want you to see what car passed me and how bad my car is right now. So it happens with guys too, but you know, I don't know. It's just a cultural norm that girls aren't good and aren't very good, and that they somewhat don't belong. And I get like the little bit of animosity at first, but I would have thought that people would have got used to it a little bit more than they did.
So, but you have that cultural animosity, you were saying.
A little bit, yeah.
but-
And I don't know where it comes from.
But when you say that it's a cultural norm that girls aren't good, you don't think about that about yourself.
No.
Yeah, see, I knew that.
No.
You don't have any doubts.
No, I look
Right.
at everyone out there, I'm like, you suck because of this, and I'm going to beat you because of that, and
Right.
oh, God, I hate you. And,
You don't think because I'm a girl, I'm not as good as them.
No, not at all.
So why would you think that about the other girl?
I don't know. It's because I'm not used to it, right? Something you're not used to.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, well, also, it's like you're unique.
I mean, what if you were out there in the gym and some girl comes and picks up more weight than you, and you're like, oh, that's weird.
I'd be like, that bitch is on roids. She's gotta be.
She probably would
Or
be,
she's
but
some Amazon, some freak, some genetic freak. I'll try to sign her. I'd bring her to the UFC.
Yeah,
I'd be
no
like, listen,
kidding.
do you know how to throw a punch?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think we all have cultural prejudices,
Yeah,
to a certain extent, whether we admit it or not. And maybe you're not a bigot. Maybe you just have reservations, and you're pleasantly surprised when people surpass those expectations.
Yeah.
But I would think that you would experience probably more discrimination as a woman than. I mean, if you think about a woman doing almost any other job, like. If you're telling me you're the only woman that does that, and you're at this intense macho job, this is a fucking intense job. I mean, you're going 200 miles an hour. Blah, blah, blah. It's nuts. That's a crazy job. And you're out there at the top of the food chain with all these men.
Yeah.
I would imagine there's two things that happen. There's a bunch of guys that treat you with respect. They're like, wow. They're
Cool.
like impressed.
Yep. Yeah.
They're cool with you. They're like, she's one of us.
That's right.
And then there's a few that are just dicks. And those dicks are just incorrigible.
Man, the amount of times I wish I was good at taking people out. I wish people knew how hard it was to actually take someone out on track. It's not that easy.
You would, because you can risk taking yourself. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if your car doesn't handle very well, you can't get close enough to them. If you could, you would just move the air, which is almost like hitting them, and get them out of the way. But sometimes the car doesn't handle well enough. So, like, you'd have to just bomb in there, and God willing, you hit them to get you to slow down, and then they go sailing, and you keep going, but it's risk.
That's a rare moment, right?
Yeah.
Have you done that before?
Oh, I've tried to take people. I suck at it. I absolutely suck at it. I have taken myself out like 3 times trying to do it. I mean, look, I'll be the lamb. I don't mind to make a point.
So you do that to make a point if someone's driving like a dick?
Yeah.
Look at you. You're like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There was what was the one that was the most sad was it was a couple of years ago. It was in Martinsville, and this is when something was going down with, it was Matt Kenseth and Joey Logano, and it was during the chase, which is the last 10 races of the season, and they were in the chase, Matt and Joey, and Joey had made it so that Matt couldn't get in because he took him out a week or 2 earlier, and then they got to Martinsville, and it's a very, very small short track. It's just a half a mile, and so it's easy to kind of be able to attack if you want to, and so he just straight took him out, and there was a whole big hoopla about it. People up in arms, thought it was totally unfair, and anyway, during the same race, some asshole hits me, spins me out, and so I come back and I'm a lap down or something because he spins me out, and I go to take him out, and I just sail off into the corner. He manages to kind of keep going. I spin again because I'm horrible at it, and turns out that I get a $50,000 fine because I am I'm not racing for position because I was a lap down, and they applied that because that was also the same race that Matt and Joey had their big thing, and I think maybe Joey was leading or something like that. I think he was leading, and it was on a restart, so they weren't racing for position either, so that was kind of like their rule that they put forth to make for, Matt probably got $100,000 or $200,000 fine, but there I am, I'm definitely screwed in this scenario. So I got fined $50,000 for it, and I'm the one that's out.
So if you're racing for a position, then it's okay to bump into each other?
Apparently, yeah. So really, you're the one that's screwed, because if someone takes you out and then you're still racing for a position, now you're going to have to be potentially, putting yourself in another position to get taken out when they started it. It's a no-win for the person that's being aggressed by the aggressor.
Was it always legal to bump into each other?
It's gone kind of through waves of different rules, but yeah, it is legal.
But whenever a big accident happens and there's a tragedy, I would assume that's when they tighten down the rules.
Sometimes.
Sometimes not?
Sometimes
they just
not.
accept that
sometimes
it
just happens. Sometimes it's just, usually if there's something like that happens, it's not from one person's action, that it's maybe a chain of events that leads to something like that.
It's one of the rare jobs that you do that's a sport, one of the rare sports, where the potential for death is always there.
Yeah, that's true. It is true.
Is that one of the reasons why you decided, enough is enough?
I am not a daredevil. I am not a daredevil. I went bungee jumping, and that is the bravest thing I've ever done otherwise. And I only did it because I'm afraid of heights, so I just needed to know that if I had to conquer a fear, I could.
Well, what's your definition of a daredevil? You're a race car driver.
To do things where you could potentially get hurt. I'm not, though. That's true.
Yeah, but you're a race car driver.
I know, but I'm a methodical driver. I'm methodical. I don't go out there and just, hold it wide open until the car does something, and then I'm like, oh, better lift now. I'm like a methodical driver, so I build up.
Well, I think what you're saying is you're not stupid.
Thank you, Joe. That's very nice of you. That's a really, really nice way to say that.
Yeah, you're not dumb, but you're definitely a daredevil.
Thank you. Well,
you have to be.
I'm not.
There's no way you could not be.
I'm just not. I'm serious.
You drive 200 miles an hour
Anybody that really knows me knows that I'm not brave.
Oh, wow, that's so crazy.
I know.
It's. I think you're talking crazy.
Crazy talk over here. Well, it's true. I just have been grooming this talent since I was 10, and 26 years later, I'm okay with it.
I think it's both of those things, but I think there's no doubt that you're a brave person.
Actually, my first time in a go-kart was horrible.
What were you, 3?
10. 10. And my sister was 8. My dad built the go-karts. There was a big parking lot out back. So we got like spray cans, WD-40, whatever, pop cans, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, I grew up in the Midwest, so pop. And set them up in a big circle for my sister and I to go out and drive around and drive our go-karts for the first time. And my dad there was a little mistake with the brake pedal, and so it stopped working. And since I'm 10 and I'm really young and dumb and I don't know what I'm doing, young, dumb, and broke, I guess I was, yeah, like the song goes. But I went to hit the brake, it wasn't there, so instead of just spinning out or continuing to turn, I just went straight, and I was headed for a trailer, like kind of a higher elevated trailer, which would have resulted in decapitation. And I swerved at the last second and hit a concrete wall, and I like go flying, and my arm lays back on the muffler, and my cool puffy jacket burns, and like I bruises all up my legs and on my arms, and that was my first time in a go-kart within 5 or 10 minutes of being out there. And so my dad just got a new one and built it, and we went racing. So maybe I am really brave. I don't know. You're right. Maybe I always felt like in IndyCar, to some degree, I wasn't brave because people were willing to do things that were perceivably more brave. But I did describe them as dumb. You're right. Yeah. So you're probably a little right, and I'm maybe a little right too. But you're right.
I think you're definitely brave, but I think there's definitely a line where bravery becomes stupid because the risk outweighs the reward.
100%.